Well, it just came very thick and fast. We'd barely gotten over the hurling, and suddenly we're being thrust into a football final.
And now it's done?
And now it's done.
It was also,
cool.
Even when I was down out and doing the interviews in Kerry and Dublin, and even the hurling as well, like, they were all lamenting the fact that there was only a 2-week lead into the final. Like, you need at least a 3. Just to feel the buzz, the general vibe, the rumours that will start to circulate in camps about injuries and whatnot. Like, you need that. And then it should be, of course, but they spoke about it in the paper review on Sunday, it should be a national holiday.
Well, so Mick O'Keefe was making that point. I was about to bring that up. I think we might have played the clip on the show yesterday about how something needs to happen over the whole weekend, and the whole kind of Croke Park area needs to be on fire. Wait and see what Dublin is like when the college football comes, right? It's going to be incredible. It's going to be this incredible takeover of the city, and they've managed to do that in the space of less than a decade. Like, it's even shorter. And when you think about it, it didn't even exist during COVID, right? Whereas we've had, like, you know, all the way back to 1884 to come up with a plan to make something special happen in the city wherever it's happening, and in the general area. But there's just this reluctance. It's like, sure, it might rain. Nobody will come out if it rains. And why, I don't know.
On a practical level, what do you mean? As in, I suggested the flyover and that sort of thing, but the Irish Air Corps, but that I was accused of being militaristic, maybe in that regard.
You're pro NATO. We know that.
There you go.
Yeah.
What other sort of things are we talking here? Like, is it just look at the Super Bowl and see what they do and do that?
Well, Dennis Walsh made that piece yesterday in the Times, saying that the Kilmacud Sevens doesn't go on anymore, and that's a big part of the weekend.
Does it not go on?
Well, it wasn't on this weekend.
Are we sure?
That's because it's Kilmacud 8s now, apparently. The extra
Exactly.
Well, you set him up and Shane knocks him out of the park.
Nice. That was very nice. But it doesn't feel like a festival of Gaelic football, and it didn't really feel like a festival of hurling the week before.
So I couldn't tell from what Mick was saying that the Sevens was happening and nobody knew about it because people weren't making a weekend of it anymore. And look, I do accept that a lot of people were coming up and going back down on the same day because
cost.
Frankly, it's ridiculously expensive, and so you can't just do this. But I don't know, like music outside, arrive early. So on the way, I was like, oh, they're playing the Stunning very loud. But actually the Stunning were in the stadium playing, which I didn't know about.
And the Merry Wallopers.
For the hurlers, apparently there was the Merry Wallopers. Again, no, I was there relatively early. I saw both of the Jubilee teams being presented, although I couldn't actually hear because for whatever reason the sound in the Cusick is nowhere near as good as the sound in the Hogan.
Right.
I couldn't hear the speeches. I couldn't hear Larry going now when the crowd were booing David Goff. So I don't know. I just think that it'll be interesting to see. The City Council managed to put on a brilliant homecoming for the team, so obviously they're capable of doing stuff. And it'll be interesting to see what they do on Thursday for the women's football on O'Connell Street and what kind of a crowd shows up for that.
But GAA fans are creatures of habit. Like, I can't imagine Dublin and Kerry fans are fans of counties that are used to being in finals. All of a sudden, we have music actually an hour before throw in this venue. Like, they're going to be in the same pub they've been in for 40 years for finals.
Yeah, maybe, but there are also you can bring the families, which is the start of it, and that'll attract people to see what's going on. So, I don't know, is there a skills competition on the pitch beforehand for at 2 o'clock for the 3:30 throw in, because the teams are coming out from 2:45, and I don't know, also could there be music outside around the vicinity? Could there be better food trucks close to the ground as opposed to here's a bit of salmonella burger for you, good quality stuff maybe? Or do we not want the quality? Are we we're suspicious? I'm sorry, it has a sauce on it, I'm not eating it.
I think, we do have to be more outside the box. We have to be more outside the box in terms of how we deliver this as a product rather than just a game. I don't think we should necessarily look over to America just because, they can mythologize absolutely anything. The Super Bowl is only a 60s invention, and it seems to have been carved into Plymouth Rock the way they go on about it. It takes a long time for those things to bed in. I know when they had the performer, who was it that did the song before the Champions League final in that disastrous Stade de France game, and she was really annoyed because no one was listening to her. It takes a while for that to become quote unquote tradition, so we need to look at something that maybe is a little bit more outside the box, and maybe that is the Merry Wallopers and it was just that the weather wasn't good enough on Sunday, or maybe it is something along those lines. But I think getting an instant fix, we're probably,
Camilla Cabello was that singer.
Yes, yeah. And she was not happy. But, football fans aren't there for a performance and a 4-hour kind of spectacle.
Can we not have a half-time show where they quickly set up a stage on the Croke Park pitch? I'd pop U2 or, I don't know, the Script. Who's big these days with the kids?
I do. I think it's interesting that the BBC managed to add a little bit of Stardust straight away. Like, first year, what are we going to do? Bit of Stardust. We've thought about this.
Yeah.
Here's a slightly tangential. But all very gettable people. Anyway,
would the minor final being on the same day help?
No. I think the move to remove the minor final being the most important thing of all time is a good move generally, because since 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds. But you could definitely put Joe McDonagh before it. Now, the atmosphere was really good for the Dublin Kerry game because everybody there was there to see Dublin and Kerry, and I don't know if there was 10,000 tickets gone for
Talton.
Or Joe McDonagh in the hurling. Would that change things? I don't think it would. Like, it was very clear that this wasn't the festival that the hurling final was, where all of hurling comes together to watch the hurling. This was Dublin. This was Dublin GA and Kerry GA, and nobody else. Like, you can all watch at home, lads. And maybe that's what it should be, but I don't know. Yeah. Brian says they should bring back the minor final the same day as I don't know. There should be some game on before. Do we need music to get fans to go? Really? Ask Graham. No, I'm just saying something good. Like, it doesn't have to be. I don't know. But bigger brains than ours could think about this for a while and come up with some plans and have, here's a program. Like, I would like the 3-point, the slam dunk contest equivalent for hurling and football. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure that we could come up with some stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what the equivalent is, because you get people in basketball matches doing the whole layup, 3-pointer, half-court shot, that sort of thing. But do people care about that? I think Irish people are just built differently. We're immune to bullshit, and I feel like that sort of thing. Sometimes people are like, the state of this. We won't even stay on. It's
not bullshit. Well, having crack isn't bullshit.
No, it's not. But
having something organised for families isn't bullshit.
Forced crack is bullshit, though.
But it doesn't have to be shit. It doesn't have to be actually crap. That's the thing. It could be good, but we can't do anything. It might not be good. Somebody might criticise us. Oh no, I'm terrified of trying something. Oh Jesus.
Well,
let's say button down and repress for all our lives. Somebody might not like this.
They're always trying the wrong thing. Like, they moved the feckin' sent before the match.
Always trying the wrong thing. The Homer Simpson line, the moral is never try.
Just never try.
Yeah.
Never change things. And the point with Shane, and the pity there's no singing or chants in the pubs beforehand. All you have is come on you boys in blue, or Kerry clap clap clap. Yeah, and we've had that discussion before, the lack of chance.
Anywho, let's move on.
Yes, yeah.
Were you at the celebrations, Shane, last night? Were you?
I passed very near to the celebrations.
Right, and what was it like?
I diverted and could hear the bagpipes and different things emanating from Smithfield Square. The waves or the sails on Smithfield Square lit up in blue. Sounded like great crack, I have to say, and there was a lot of Dublin jerseys in the pubs and spilling out in the general Smithfield area. Big Garda presence, big security presence. It sounded like good crack. I didn't bother peeping the head down, but I think for Dublin people to have that massive long 2-year drought over, obviously the emotion has just poured out of them. So fair play to them. I think they enjoyed this one.
Is your bitterness increasing or decreasing?
Decreasing. Monaghan are now surely we might probably move up to third in the rankings because the
power rankings are coming up a bit later.
Yeah, they lost to the eventual winners.
Should have done our coming up. I'll do our coming up now, and then you can tell me about how you're less bitter. Yeah. So Sean O'Sullivan's going to give us the Kerry view at 8 o'clock. We're going to go to Australia to talk to Kathleen McNamee about the bitter fallout from the Republic of Ireland's exit at the World Cup. Lindsay Davies going to preview the look back at the women's football semi-finals for us. Our power rankings with Tommy from 9, and we'll play you out with Boyle and O'Sullivan, who said that David Clifford is the footballer of the year. Nailed on, no questions asked. But he's not the betting favourite. The players get to vote for this though, so there's a good chance that maybe, I don't know.
I tend to agree that David Clifford, he is the footballer of the year, isn't he?
Well, I don't know. I think that coming down the stretch. You know,
are you double? You're a man who's always often given out about double points for finals. And
I'm all in favour of double points for finals.
Oh right, okay.
I'm the footballer of the year that Donaghy came off the bench in the semi-final and was man of the match in the final was Kieran Donaghy. Like he didn't get it. They didn't even nominate him. But you do it in an All-Ireland final when everything like it's absolutely double points for a final.
Then what's the point? Like that's just
the point is that it's like the two best teams finally coming up against each other.
If it's footballer of the year,
but the year
footballer of the fortnight would be a different award.
But even so, I think we're probably blinkered by his flashes of brilliance sometimes. That like he didn't play all that well in that quarter-final against Tyrone, save for that moment where he kept the ball in from going out on the side spectacularly. Other than that, he wasn't that remarkable. So I don't think it's quite him. I think probably Brian Fenton, or I think James McCarthy maybe, to be honest.
Well, look, McCarthy definitely,
he's going to win it, like McCarthy. Yeah,
I think Fitzsimons has a case. But anywho, we'll talk about that a little later on, I suppose.
Can someone answer this question for me? And PWGC has asked the same question. Can someone explain how and why Dublin fans get to fill out the hill every time? Do they just buy the tickets first, or do they get first dibs on the tickets as it's a home game?
It's a home game, we all know that.
Well, it's definitely a home game. But like, I was hearing rumours before the semi-final that Monaghan fans had in their droves got the early link and bought tickets for the hill, and I was thinking, Dublin fans aren't going to like this. Like, Monaghan fans have taken over the hill. Then you get to the match, that's Dublin majority, and you're like, well, like, what happened here? Like,
home advantage counts.
Well, how do they get the tickets first? Sure, like the tickets go on sale at the same time for everyone because it's apparently a neutral venue. So, how do Dublin fans get the hill?
I don't know. I don't know. We should maybe ask some
questions.
Let us
know. Yeah,
that's a good question. Maybe we could do some journalism on it. And we will. Yeah, we could ask official people to tell us officially what the process is and how the makeup of it is decided, because it is definitely like there was a brilliant lyrical description of it by Paul Galvin during the football pod, talking about looking up and the hands are like shoals of fish, and you know, there are definitely moments in the game where all of a sudden "Come on, you boys in blue" starts to ring out and you're like, oh, you're suddenly jolted out of the moment of the game.
Yeah,
so it clearly has an impact.
That was what Jack O'Connor said. He said the turning point was scoring into the hill for Paddy Small.
Yeah that was an own goal, wasn't it? Is that not an own goal?
Well, if his original shot was on target, which
was it on target?
It was very close.
I don't think it was.
It was very.
Was it going over?
I think it was going low. Was it?
I don't know. I haven't seen. Still haven't.
You have to give it to Paddy Small, to be fair.
Yeah, in fairness.
It was a heroic attempted block by Paul Murphy, but probably inadvertently led to the goal. There's a few of the Kerry lads I'd say be looking back at some of the moments. Gavin White in particular.
Yeah, I think so. On Saturday's show, I said that the Gavin White Paddy Small was the only no-brainer. I thought that Gavin White would have Paddy Small in his pocket all day in terms of matchups. So I'd like to apologise to Paddy Small off the back of that.
I thought the Kerry defence was sensational. I think Kerry are going to have a long, dark winter of the soul where they are wondering how the hell did they manage to lose that game. And it is really interesting. The celebrations, the outpouring of pure joy from the Dubs, and the conversations that they've been having about whether or not this is the end. Desi says they didn't use the Last Dance motif as a thing because it could be a bit inauthentic, but certainly a lot of the players were talking about this probably is the last dance for a lot of people. So you know, for some of them that motivation was there. I thought Fenton's interview, I don't know when he was talking yesterday at some point, and they were all loose yesterday. They were all just like totally, they've been on the piss for at least 24 hours. The pints were literally in the post-match press conference and I don't think they'd stopped. So when they were chatting yesterday, they were like Fenton saying that he did it for Desi, obviously his family, and he did it for Desi and he did it for James McCarthy. They were his motivations. But he brought up unprompted the COVID breach, the training breach, people saying Desi should step aside, us getting relegated and them questioning Desi, and I don't know, that whole narrative that was like, oh, he's not this. Desi Farrell deserves unbelievable credit for getting everybody back, for bringing Pat Gilroy in, for retreating to the background to a point where, okay, I'm fully aware of everything that's happening here, and then getting them all to perform at the level they performed. Like, Mannion came back and was man of the match. McCaffrey came back and Fenton goes, everybody's scared of Jack McCaffrey. The only other player in Ireland who anybody is scared of like that might be Clifford, but every time McCaffrey gets the ball, the opposition is terrified. And he's right. Like,
he's so quick, yeah.
that's the kind of analysis that everybody was doing in the pub afterwards. Like, oh, geez, everybody's scared of McCaffrey out there. And Fenton's like, everybody's scared of McCaffrey. It's like, I don't know. I think
they're honest. Open and honest.
Yeah.
I saw Cluxton and a few of the lads were in the Boar's Head early enough yesterday having their few pints, and Sam Maguire was with them. The one thing I would say, and Cora Staunton made a similar point on the Sunday game, was that I think we in the media and generally people in the pubs, those conversations as well, retire players ourselves. It's like, oh, they've reached this age. There's a bit of ageism here. Like, we assume a player of a certain vintage or age is automatically going to hang up the boots after a season like this. The same suggestion was made to Conor McManus and another player, any player in their mid-30s at the moment. Like, some of these players mightn't be having this thought in their head whatsoever, and then they're reading in the papers, oh, wonder will they hang up their boots, and all these column inches that are being covered with by it. So I think it's something we need to be very careful with. I think in Irish sporting circles is, I guess, wanting a newsline, is this player going to keep playing? But look, sometimes it's not even in the player's head.
Yeah, well, I think though that, like, James McCarthy brought it up.
Well, he unprompted. To be fair, him and Dean Rock did. Yeah.
Brilliant Dean Rock post-match interview with Aisling O'Reilly, where again he was just completely relaxed, talking about this is going to be the best fortnight of his life. He's off to Marbella this week for a bit of golf, and then he's coming back and he's getting married. So it's like, scored the last point in the game. My last kick ever is like the insurance point to beat Kerry in an All-Ireland final into the hill. And then I was like looking back at Dean Rock's career. His record's unbelievable. He played 68 successive league and championship matches.
Right, Jesus. Started or played?
Started. Jesus. From the time that he got into the team, he played 68 successive games. I'm like, oh my God. That's so you kind of forget that this generational player is cycling out of the system at the moment. So.
He was just relieved talking to Aisling because he didn't have to change his wedding plans.
Exactly.
Jesus.
The replay would have scotched the wedding.
Yeah, the pressure on that.
Here's the point. Andy Jennings says they should put on a weekend event similar to the Stony Batter Festival, close off a few streets from content traffic, install outdoor seating outside boozers, have quality food stalls and live music. That's exactly it. That's exactly what we're talking about. No corporate bullshit. No invented, oh, we're here to have fun. No, hey, hup ho, hey. None of that bollocks, right? Like, let a local organisation like the Stony Batter Festival take it over and go, here, we're going to support you with funding, and we're going to give you guaranteed space that's safe for people to come, and you could do all sorts of cool community things that are not based around like a glitzy, as you say, corporate wankology.
Yeah, like, even to get the likes of Ishbeen and Heron and these cobblestone ones out to play a bit of music on the streets, and I love the comic cons and the autograph conventions that they do. You get to meet your actors and they're all sitting around at a table and you pay a tenner or whatever to get a signature. Like, the GA, obviously, of course, an amateur sport, but you could have Barney Rock sitting there, you could have Pat Spillane sitting there, you could have Brawley sitting there, like one from each county, and there's 32 Owl lads sitting around, and even Owl lads would flock to meet them and talk to them about their memories growing up in the nostalgia and get a wee signature or a programme from the 74 All-Ireland finalists signed by them.
Phones now, Shane, people take photographs.
Well, they do, yeah, of course, I'm old school, but autographs and selfies, you know, and maybe you charge a £5 and the money goes to a worthy cause or something. I don't know.
Charity of their choice.
Yeah, so that's something I'd get involved in.
We should talk about the row between Vera Pauw and Katie McCabe. It's all over the front and the back pages of the papers. Front of the Irish Times is the picture of McCabe coming over to her and asking for substitution to be made. Pauw obviously tells everybody afterwards that it was Sinead Farrelly that McCabe wanted subbed off, and then McCabe apparently makes the change on the pitch anyway herself. So I don't like. Is this a massive deal, or is this like just the type of stuff that happens in teams all the time?
Yeah, it's the time-honoured tradition of a player and a manager fighting at a World Cup for Ireland and other places.
Yeah, but
it was made a big deal by Katie McCabe putting up the emoji like on social media. I think that probably heightens it a bit. Thousands and thousands of likes and retweets or whatever you want to call it. Like, that probably stoked the fires a little bit. And I noticed it during the game. I was actually, while I was watching the match in here yesterday, I noticed after that 65-70 minutes McCabe was shouting something over. I was trying to lip read what she was saying, but she was clearly not happy with the sideline, and there was a couple of decisions that she wanted amended. So I don't know.
It's obviously not a great look that it comes out, right? Or does it matter that it comes out? Are we all too precious about like the manager saying, yeah, she wanted to change, I said no? Like, is that not like the type of thing that happens in a relatively straightforward environment where people are free to express an opinion, but the person whose job it is to make the decision makes the decision, having taken on board the feedback?
Well, I think
I've heard what you said. I've decided no.
But they've escalated it because they've taken it beyond the pitch and kept talking about it. I'm sure Sinead Farrelly's like, geez, Vera, thank you so much for dragging me into this.
Well,
brilliant.
Why would you be blaming Vera? It was Katie McCabe who wanted her subbed off.
Yeah, but why name the player?
Well, it's Katie McCabe because McCabe was like, oh, I want rid of her. And like, so what did she want? Like, I mean, it's actually Katie McCabe who's asking for Sinead Farrelly to come off.
Yeah.
Why would Sinead Farrelly be pissed off of Vera Pauw?
Because she brought her up in the press conference,
and
she's
McCabe
dragged
wants rid
into
of
it.
her.
Yeah, but it would have stayed on the pitch. We wouldn't have, it's better to be silent and be thought a fool than to speak and have everyone know, I think being dragged into that can't help. It doesn't really help the morale of what seems to be a pretty touchy atmosphere anyway.
Yeah, and so is Katie McCabe right to name the individual? Like, I want her off, or is like we need to make a change, get some fresh legs on?
Well, until
like,
Vera Pauw
look
says
at her
it.
over there. She's the one I want gone.
Until Vera says it, it's all hearsay, and it's like, well, the rumour is it's Sinead Farrelly.
I don't know. I
for
think
someone to come out and say, yeah, it's her that wanted it off, especially given Sinead Farrelly's profile as a player who was sort of parachuted in late on in the day.
Yeah, I mean, that's so. Why did Katie McCabe want her? Why did she single her out? And was Vera Pauw correct that she was actually doing really well? So here's the thing: what if Katie McCabe was actually completely wrong, right? What if she was right? I don't know, is the thing. But like,
it's insurrection either way, isn't it?
Well, is it insurrection?
Well,
when you're the captain of the team and the game is going well or badly, are you not supposed to be giving feedback to the manager?
Yeah, it can be suggested in a certain way, can't it? You can run over to the manager, have a little whispered conversation, no wild gesticulation or shouting back and forth.
Was there wild gesticulation?
There wasn't much, like, really, but like. But it was public. It was more public than a little casual whisper that could certainly happen between a manager and a captain, and just the whole fallout and the little emojis online, and Denise O'Sullivan talking about distraction as well in her tweet. She just threw that word in as well as she was thanking the fans. Like, it just feels a little bit easy for these players to now, in the last 15-20 minutes of the last group game, to then decide, okay, now we're gonna say something.
Get their
I'm gonna get this in now because the fallout from this, like, Vera mightn't be in charge anymore. I'm gonna get this in right now. I'm gonna show my public, I guess, displeasure with some of her decisions on pitch and whatever else. So
you think this was calculated by McCabe? Well, if this throw Vera Pauw under the bus.
If it was done in the last 15-20 minutes of the first game, I'd be like, okay, well, Katie McCabe clearly has an issue here. Let's sort it out. But it feels like, okay, the World Cup is about to end. We can't get through anyway. We're drawing the match against Nigeria. Sinead Farrelly's not playing that badly, let's be honest. So why bring this up now as a major issue, and why get involved by putting up a silence emoji on Twitter, which before you press publish is going to stoke the flames even further, and it's going to cause headlines.
I think she miscalculated the effect of that. I think she thought she'd have much more support on her side, because it's her personality, Katie McCabe. She's not a shrinking violet at all. There's even a Twitter account called Did Katie McCabe Get a Yellow Card, which everybody I know follows. So she's known for being this feisty character, and I think that sort of plays into it.
That's fair enough.
But I think it's backfired tremendously because it looks a bit petulant and silly.
And I understand Katie wanted to give her point of view as well. Like, she has every right to, but just in a certain way, maybe that is less public at a World Cup, it might be better. And also, look, Vera Pauw, there were all the allegations against Vera Pauw. None of us know the veracity or otherwise of those.
She does deny them all.
She does deny them, of course. But the fact is, like, the team are flying home this evening. They'll have their homecoming. At the very least, she probably, and this point was made in the last couple of days, deserves to be part of this is the first Irish team to go to a Women's World Cup. Like, she deserves to be part of those celebrations, and whatever happens contract-wise after that. Yeah.
Are there any football reasons why Vera Pauw shouldn't be given a new contract?
I don't think so. I think we're doing the best with what we have. I'd like to see someone come in and be more creative in terms of how they utilise the attack.
It's going to be Tom Elms. Like, he is going to be the next manager when Vera leaves, you'd imagine. That seems to be the suggestion.
Is it? Okay.
That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing from reports, that the players love him. There's a bit of continuity there. That obviously going into the Northern Ireland game and all the rest, that would be the next name on the list. So I guess stylistically from Vera Pauw, that's not much change if it is Tom.
So he's the assistant coach.
He's the assistant to Vera at the moment. So I don't know what the odds are on the next manager, but certainly the gauge is that he will be the next coach after Vera Pauw, which would suggest that they do want continuity. They do want the same style of play to continue forward, and it's worked. It's got them to a World Cup.
But yeah, I wouldn't assume that the assistant manager always does exactly. Do you know what I mean?
Fair.
You can always come in and have your own stamp on things. So I wasn't. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, I think it was maybe the Irish Independent that read it in possibly.
Okay.
But certainly there have been reports that Tom Elms is the favourite candidate, popular with the players, that sort of thing. So, I mean, if the players have a say in this, certainly Tom Elms' name will be in the mix, you'd imagine.
Yeah, that is interesting. It'll make for an interesting podium on Thursday. Like, she absolutely not alone deserves to be, but it's a great achievement to get to the World Cup, and we played well. I actually thought we were more ambitious on the field than we have been at various stages, and we've been relatively unlucky against superior teams, and we don't score a whole heap of goals. So look, I don't know what everybody expected.
No, and I think a lot of the people who have been complaining maybe about Vera Pauw's tactics are watching this team for the first time at this World Cup, and
well, in fairness,
really appreciated.
Karen Duggan has been complaining about it on Koi Gig and now in the Irish Times as well for a long period of time. Obviously knows exactly what she's talking about.
Absolutely.
But let's wait and see. Let's wait and see if the new manager comes in and suddenly we're playing with Katie and Denise behind a striker, and everybody else, they're given we're playing with 2 10s or 2 8s. Let's wait and see exactly what comes next, because I don't know. I think to me it doesn't look like there's huge footballing reasons why you wouldn't be given Vera.
Drew at Nigeria yesterday. And Nigeria, of course, probably brought off their star striker with maybe 20-25 minutes left. They knew that the Australia game was going a certain way. They already had progression guaranteed. But still, clean sheet in the World Cup for Ireland. First point in the World Cup for Ireland. There are massive positives out of yesterday's game for sure. Denise O'Sullivan was eventually moved in this World Cup to her favourite position of number 10. So there's so much to be proud of. It's obviously disappointing from our perspective that we lost to Canada in the way we did, I think, particularly.
Yeah, and look, I don't know. I guess I'm wondering, is it that big a deal that the captain says something and the manager says, she said that, I said no? Like, maybe that's all that's happened here. Do you know? Now, because she tweeted afterwards, this is definitely a much bigger story.
Yeah.
But maybe you're supposed to have...
there for you.
Maybe you're supposed to.
I nearly have more issue with the tweet than the actual in-game conversation.
Yeah, it's the in-game thing, largely she's tired. I don't know. Anyway, we should very briefly talk about Ben Healy, who was man of the match for Scotland at the weekend. Scotland have started their World Cup warm-ups a week ahead of us. So they're already ahead of us. They're coming for us. They are coming for us, though.
Yeah. Final game.
Yeah. We are going to be their version of the Sitting Ducks, and hopefully we smash them the way Kerry smashed Tyrone. But
I don't know. I'm kind of worried. Ben Healy was really, 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 really good against Italy. I was very impressed. His crossfield kick for the opening try for Darcy Graham was on a sixpence.
Was it a strong Scotland team?
Strong enough, yeah. A lot of starters in there, a mix of kind of players on the periphery, but mostly starters, and it was a pretty strong Italian team. So it wasn't a kind of walk over. Let's ease into this warm up. It was really, really excellent quality, much more than I was expecting. But Ben Healy was really, really good, and he's going to get a lot of game time at this World Cup. I just have a feeling that the way our pool is set up, you've got South Africa, us and Scotland obviously. I think Tonga are going to be the chaos factor in there in terms of how many players from the other three respective teams come out the other side without any scrapes. I feel there's going to be quite a few injuries from those across all the teams that are taking on Tonga, just the way they've set up and the quality of their backline. And I feel like Ben Healy he'll be on the bench at the very least for our final game against Scotland on October 9th, I believe.
He doesn't start, does he? Is there any universe now in which he challenges Finn Russell?
Not if Finn Russell's fully fit. No.
But could Finn Russell have a fallout with the coach? Finn Russell could have a fallout with the coach.
Yeah.
Although he will be on home turf for large portions of it, so you would expect maybe all those
in his comfort zone. Yeah.